Now, my new parliamentary colleague in Reform UK for Runcorn and Helsby, Sarah Pochin, had her first Prime Minister's question today, and this really surprised the House of Commons.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the interests of public safety, follow the lead of France, Denmark, Belgium and others and ban the burqa?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Can I welcome her to her place? But I'm not going to follow her down that line. But now she is here and safely in her place, perhaps she could tell her new party leader that his latest plan to bet £80 billion of unfunded tax cuts, there's no idea how he's going to pay for it, is Liz Truss all over again. Although, considering I think she was a Conservative member when Liz Truss was leader, she probably won't.
Well, ignore the bit about me, because I'm just the whipping boy in every... I was even called by a Conservative MP a socialist. I mean, I just sit there, it's giddy a minute stuff. And the poor old Prime Minister, who mentioned my name 16 times in one speech last week, dear, dear, dear. But let's get back to what Sarah Pochin is talking about. I think this debate actually goes beyond the burqa. And she listed some European countries there, but I'm going to add to that. Cameroon, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Gabon, Tunisia. In Asia, China, Sri Lanka, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. There are many, many, many countries in the world that are banning the burqa. But I think it goes further than that. You see, Sarah said, in the interest of public safety. I was in Aberdeen on Monday. There was a mob there to meet me, an organisation called Antifa, and half of them had complete face coverings on, so they would be unidentifiable. I don't think face coverings in public places make sense, and I think we do deserve a debate about that, of which I see the burqa as being a part. Kwasi, what do you make of this? I mean, this is a necessary debate, isn't it?
It is. We've got to have a debate. I mean, I was very struck this morning. I was on the school run, and I saw a school-age child, she must have been about 15 or 16, in a burqa. And I do have problems for children, essentially going to a school and she was wearing a uniform. She was wearing a school uniform, but she was wearing a burqa on top of the uniform, which didn't make sense to me at all. And it doesn't make sense, I think, when you're going to school, when you're doing communal activities, to have that sort of face covering. That's my view. I think there's a broader issue in terms of people wearing burqas when they're going out shopping. I think that's slightly more difficult, adults. But having school kids in that uniform, that religious signification, I think is difficult.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBNews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
a tough one, this, Lloyd. It's a very difficult debate, but it's a debate, as I said, I've mentioned all the countries around the world that have had this debate and decided to ban it. It is, the Quran does not say anything about wearing a burqa. It does say they want women to dress modestly. And actually, if you go to Morocco or Egypt or the UAE, you won't see, Muslim countries, you won't see a single woman in a burqa. It's a relatively new thing. How do you feel about it?
Well, I come from it from a libertarian point of view, as I do with most social issues. I think people should be able to wear as much or as little as they want. But of course, in society, we do put some limits on that. We put some limits on the little, as little.
Yeah, exactly. You can't walk around naked.
I mean, we do allow people to walk around naked in certain spaces.
In certain spaces. We're not do that in Trafalgar Square.
Not at GBNews, I can assure you. It doesn't happen here.
And we allow it for the naked bike ride and things like this. So there are events as well that we allow.
Yeah,
but broadly, we say it's not appropriate. And so I think it is OK to say that there are certain frameworks that you have to do. And if we say in society, we want to see your face broadly in most circumstances, these are the circumstances we have to do it. But I do feel very uncomfortable if we're suddenly saying it's about banning the burqa as opposed to the face mask.
Which is why I've widened this out.
And I know. But the difficulty is, as soon as you have some exceptions. So do you allow a veil? Do you allow in a cold day someone to wear a balaclava? Because, there's really, particularly in the kind of the north of Scotland, you get really bitterly cold days sometimes where you do have to cover your face. So it becomes more difficult when you're then suddenly saying, well, on these circumstances, yes, but on these circumstances, no.
Yes,
so broadly, I think we shouldn't ban things. I think sometimes you can provide guidelines. I'm not in favour of making things criminal. I don't think we should lock people up for doing these things. But I do think there are ways that you can encourage, distill, require, for example, access of services. You can say, if you want to access this service, you have to be able to doing this. But if you're walking down the street with your mate, then to some extent...
There is another social point. I think people do feel uncomfortable, actually, around people whose faces are covered, and I think it's a very difficult thing. Certainly, I think mass protesters who can turn up and demonstrate and, in some cases, use violence should not be able to get away with it.
But sometimes there is also, in certain situations, moments where you might want to not have yourself identified. It might well be on a picket line. You don't want the employer to be able to look and say...
Actually,
no,
I don't agree with that.
I totally agree with that.
Because what you don't necessarily want is people to then be persecuted because they went
but the problem with people cover their faces not because they're worried about being persecuted. They generally cover their faces because they don't want to be identified doing bad things.
I get that, but the danger is, as soon as you make the rule for that group of people, you have a consequence.
And then you've got somebody wrapping the scarf around their face on a cold morning. I do understand that, Lloyd.
You have to be very careful.
But I tell you what, I think that question today has sparked a debate that will become quite a...
I think it's a relevant debate.
It is a relevant debate.